Let's take a look at some of the basics of working with zoom zones in your Viewlet Builder 7 project. If, for example, you want to go ahead and zoom in on an area of your slide, you can use the Zoom Zone tool to do this very easily. Now, right now, we have just the single slide here with a background image on the slide. And we can come over here to the Objects toolbar and click the button that will add the zoom zone to our slide. Now you notice it put a bounded box in the middle of our slide, so anything that's inside the bounding area is the spot that will be zoomed in on during playback, whereas the shaded area will not be. So we can go ahead and move this over to the area that we want to zoom in on, and we can resize this as needed. So let's go ahead and drag this up a little bit. And let's say that's the area we want to go ahead and zoom in on. So once we're done resizing and moving the area where we want to go ahead and zoom in on, we can go ahead and click off of it. And then we're going to get a little information window that will tell us a zoom zone has been added to the timeline. Now if we want to reselect it at any time, we'll have to go along the timeline to do it. So we can read this information, and we can also opt not to show this again. But for now, we'll go ahead and just close this window. Now you notice that once we close that information window, it looks like we don't have a zoom zone here. This is why it's very important to understand what's going on along the timeline. As you can see here, it added a layer called zoom zones. And this particular zoom zone actually looks like it will start as soon as the slide starts to play. However, we can go ahead and select it again. And as you notice, there it is where we put it before, and we can drag the starting time of where the zoom zone will display. Now, to see how this will look on playback, we need to switch over to time select mode, which we can easily do by clicking anywhere along the timeline to get the playhead, and then we just drag it along to see the effect on the slide itself. Now, you notice how it's zoomed in. This zoom zone will remain the same until we add another zoom zone to zoom back out, which we'll do in just a second. But let's look at a couple other features with this. So if I go ahead and I click off of this again, I can go ahead and see where the zoom is there, and then I can go ahead and drag it back out. I have the ability to go ahead and resize it so that it zooms in for a longer duration. Again, let me click back into time select mode here to see this. The longer the zoom zone, the longer it will take to zoom in, and conversely, the shorter your zoom zone is, the quicker the zoom will take to zoom on in. So that's the basics of adding a zoom zone to your slide. But you want to make sure though that while you have a zoom area zooming in on a slide, you're going to want to zoom out at some point. And again, this is easily done by adding a second zoom zone along the timeline here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And you notice it added it right after that. And one other thing we need to do is make sure that this particular one is full size. So now let's go back to time select mode here. We'll close this information window, and then we can scrub the timeline to see our results and see it's zooming in, and then again it's zooming out. So those are the basics of working with the new zoom zone feature in your Viewlet Builder 7 projects. If you have any questions on this particular topic, or if you have questions while working with other products, please visit us online at Qarbon.com. That's Qarbon.com. Happy viewletting!